the social emotional learning that we all are hearing around us, okay, that along with academic learning is when students feel safe, they feel respected, and they feel emotionally connected, and the learning curve is then the highest. All right. So my inspiration has been this book. Um, the practices that we have associated, have been using at Heritage International Experiential School are also based on responsive classrooms. Okay, a lot of work that we do, a lot of work that we work with our teachers, our PDs, and all the systems that we set in the school are all based on responsive classrooms. So I just want you to give a thought. You wish to share it in the chat, you can. You don't wish to share it in the chat, that's up to you. What do you think the first 6 weeks of school should really look like? If you were to look at your first 6 weeks of school, what would they really look like? Anyone who wants to unmute and say a word or two, or you want to put it on the chat, please be free to do so. Let's think about what is it that the first 6 weeks of our school should really look like.
You have a input in the chat. Soumya says using positive teacher language to
Mm?
establish high academic and behavioral expectations.
Super, Soumya, that's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anyone else? Building a rapport, creating safe spaces, creating safe environments. Wonderful. You need to know about the kids, right? You need to know about the children. You want to know who your children are, right? Brilliant. Okay, more interaction with the children. You set clear instructions. Understand the vision and the mission of the school. You need to be aligned with the school, right? Where you're working. Thank you, Pramila. Uh, you should feel safe and secure, right? The children should feel so. That's what. So, Heta, thank you so much for sharing that, because that's what our, if you go back to our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's what it says, right? Safety and security is the most primal thing that any child requires to feel, um, you know, in place, right? All of us require that. Yeah. Super. You need to bond. Thank you, Sushmita. All right. So let's look at what are the first 6 weeks of school. Now, look at the statement and tell me what in this statement stands out for you. Which word or which words in this statement stand out for you? Which words in this statement stand out for you?
Chaitra says build safe.
Okay.
Build a safe.
Okay. Okay.
Camila says
Intentional routines. Super. Thank you. Safe. Right. Predictable classroom. Super. Intentional routines. Okay. Classroom environment. Lovely, Madhuri. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. So if our if we have to build these safe, predictable classrooms, we have to get this environment right. What is it that we really need? We require routines and expectations. Yeah. So let's look a little at what routines and expectations are. Okay. Perfect. Can someone tell me, what do routines and expectations support? What do they really support? Anybody else? You can just unmute and share. What do routines and expectations support? Why do we need to have these routines and expectations?
Inculcate good behavior in them so
Okay.
that that routine becomes a part of their daily. I mean, the child should know that how the child has to be in this given school environment. The
Okay.
moment the child enters the school, till the
Mm-hmm.
child is there at the school.
Right. Okay.
So,
All right. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else?
Ma'am, this is Chaitra here.
Yeah, Chaita, tell me.
Need to have the trust from the kids because they will trust us. Like they'll not be having any other adults from their home front. So if we give the trust and follow the routine, give them the clear instructions to them, and I go with Rashmi ma'am what she said. If we inculcate that in the initial period, then I think it will be like a hand in hand collaboration for the teacher and the child.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing, Teta. Just to take it to a next level. So how does it really support? What does it really do? So we also spoke, you have mentioned trust. Anything else?
Madhuri says safe environment.
Okay. Safety, a sense of safety. Brilliant. Anything else? Now, just put yourself in a situation, okay? Just put yourself in a situation. You have um you have a daily routine. For example, I was just chatting with Jayashree yesterday, and I was just trying to find the most appropriate example here. What happens when, so we all are working, right? And we depend largely on support staff to come in and help us in the morning, prepare us, maybe support us to make breakfast for the family, or, come and ensure that the house is cleaned after us, and, like, the stuff is put in place once we probably left the house, or somebody to come in and help us with the children or get them ready for school, right? So we all depend on our support staff, right? And it's a routine. You have some help coming in at say 7 a.m. in the morning. What happens when she doesn't come? What happens to your life?
So it's kind of an unexpected moment. Maybe you try to, it's little chaotic, confusing,
Chaos.
and
There's chaos, there's confusion. What you expect really doesn't happen. And then what happens to you?
First of all, we will get into that depression kind of a thing. Okay, what has actually happened? How will
Yeah,
I
what just
take it
happened?
next?
Right? There's a lot of anxiety. Will I get to my bus in time? Will I get to school in time? I'll have to sign in time. And now she's not come. And now I can't support. I can't pack the tiffin or whatever, right? What does it really do to our life? It creates that chaos, correct? It creates a sense of confusion. It creates that sense. It does, right? One day your school bus comes late or your private van comes late, right? So whatever you expect really doesn't happen. Okay. Similarly, in the classroom with children, they thrive, especially in the elementary years. The children thrive on routines. What does routines really do? When they know that you're going to do something, it creates a sense of expectation. They know that, okay, ma'am will come, she'll be standing outside the door, she's going to give me a high five, or she's going to give me a fist bump, or I have to have a buddy who's going to give me a high five, she's going to give me a hug, something, or she's going to say hello to me, or I know that the head of school or the leadership team is always standing at the gate saying good morning, and one day you don't see the person standing there. What happens? It makes you a little unsettled, right? So, similarly, routines give children that sense of security, that sense of predictability, that sense of independence to function, right? They know what to expect. And because they know what to expect, what is expected, they know what to expect from you. That's why they also feel that you know what to expect from them. Like, how are they going to really respond that morning, right? They feel a sense of security. And because that sense of security is there, calmness, there's no anxiety, it's orderly, it's there in the same fashion every day, it reduces stress. Because of that, the focus on classroom work is heightened. There is more, it helps children to be self-regulated. They take ownership of their actions. They know what it's going to happen. And when these predictability events keep happening over and over again, it also minimizes your classroom intervention. So your class management, you don't have to yell and scream because the children know what you're going to do. The children, they know what is it that you're going to expect from them. And the behavior is positive. All right. So what do routines really do in our lives? They do this. Okay. They are just our safety nets. As teachers, when we work on developing these routines, and that's why we say any habit that we need to form takes 21 days to form, right? And that's what your 6 weeks will hold. Okay. You give children this routine day in and day out, and you will see how quickly they adapt to what you want them to do. So the amount of time that you invest in the beginning of the school year to set this expectation, to set a routine, and I'm not only saying for the elementary years, I would say across the school year. Okay, when we have our morning circles, when we greet our children at the door, when you have a particular routine that you want the children to follow. For example, you want them to take out their school bags, you want them to keep it on the rack, you want them to keep their water bottle somewhere. It's time for them to chit chat with their friends. They can sit in flexi circles or they go out to play. There is a set structure, there is a set routine which you do every single day with them, right? And that kind of forms a habit. Once those habits are formed, you know that the children are always going to behave the same way. And somebody rightly spoke, I don't know, I think it was Rashmi who spoke about positive language, right? The kind of words that we choose to use. Initially, you walk into a room and so you hear somebody talking rudely, and somebody yelling and screaming, and somebody not being nice, and somebody not smiling at you and not wishing you good morning. It creates an image in your mind of that person, right? But if there's somebody who is repeatedly using a language that you like hearing, which is positive reinforcement, which is a tone that is lovely, which is a comfortable space for any child to be in, whether it's a teenager. Teenagers are dealing with their own bit, right? Whether it's a child who's in grade 10, their anxieties are high because they are all the time studying. They have pressure of performance. They have somebody who can just take a minute off and say, hey, how do you feel today? How was your evening? Where are you stuck in your academics? Is there any support that you require? What does it create? It's that safety net that the kids are looking for. And that sets the tone of your classroom. All right. So routines and expectations set your culture. They establish a culture in your classroom. And once you have set the tone in the classroom, I promise you, I have done that in so many years of my teaching. All right. Once you set that into your routine, I promise you students will follow. But take that time. We need to get the academics also in place, right? But once you set the routine, I promise you those academics will be in place. The children know how the teacher responds, right? You come into the classroom. How many of you have pets here? Just raise your hands. How many of you have pets? Yeah. How many of you have little dogs at home? Yeah. Okay. So Chaitra, tell me what happens when you are upset. Does your pup sense it?
Mm. Yes.
Yeah. How many of you children at home? How many of you have children at home? Young children, little ones. Rashmi, what happens when you are upset about something or you've been exhausted at work and you've just come in, but you have to still smile at your child, but your child knows that something has
Yes.
gone wrong. There's a
Yes.
sense, right?
Just
Children sense
at
it.
our face expression, they can sense it.
Yeah. So even at home, when we carry, we say we've not had a pleasant morning, right? We walk into the classroom. If you're governed by a routine, it helps us settle in. It helps our class settle in. The principal called you in the morning and gave you a piece of her mind or his mind, right? How do you feel? It shakes you for the day because that's not your routine, right? And that was not something that you were expecting in the morning. Okay. So setting routines, setting expectations off late every morning, for example, I meditate. I make it a point because it takes me an hour to work every day. Every morning, I have a 30-minute meditation time. And I think that's something that's helped me, and now it's become my routine. Like whether I am at work, whether I'm not at work, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday, I need that 30 minutes to myself now. Okay, because it's become a routine for me. Yeah. Yep. Shall we move on? So, how do you make these routines successful? Any thoughts? Anyone? How do you make these routines successful? What will make your routine successful?
By asking them, like, how you want to start your day with.
Okay.
For example, like, I mean, we have seen so many videos, and even we are also implementing, like, giving a high five or a hug or whatever they want, and they will enter the class and interact with them a lot. If we are
Interactive.
having, if we are having that much of time, we can interact with many students. But initially, as you know, like when we enter to the class, it will be in such a chaos, because even the children will be in the hurry to settle down themselves. In that meantime, yes, we do get some of the time to interact with our kids, and then when we sit in a circle time, yes, it goes. But in that meantime only, the children forget what they want to convey actually. This is what I have
Right.
observed.
Right, Chaitra. We're going to hold on to that thought, Chaitra, and we will discuss this, what you just mentioned right now, again, little towards the end of the session, webinar. Okay. We will just try and understand whether we find some sort of a solution to this chaos that you're experiencing in the morning. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Pramila, involve students in drafting them. Pre-preparation. Thank you, Soumya. That's a very, very critical part of any routine. Pre-preparation. You need to prepare ahead of time. If you come in the morning unprepared and not knowing what to do, your class is chaotic, right? So pre-preparation, that also helps you set into a routine. How do you plan the previous day, leave your class so that when you come to class, you can. We can dramatize and ask child is good or bad. Sure, you can dramatize. It's very important, Hetal, to demonstrate the routine that or the expectation that you want to set with your children. For example, you have a art class or a craft class, and you've given children material, or you have your project time and the kids are working with material. You've given them stuff to do, right? What happens when they just leave the things and they do not, pack up after they have? How do they know that they're supposed to do that? You need to demonstrate it. Okay, so demonstration, very, very, very important. Thank you, Hetal, for sharing that. You yourself stick to the routine. Yes, Sushmita, that takes a lot of courage. Sticking to the routine and remembering that you have a routine that you need to stick to. All right, super. So let's see what all makes a routine successful. All right, and Chaitra, I'm hoping that some stuff from here helps you get that bit in place and reduce the chaos in the morning. Teach routines explicitly, which means we need to model it, we need to practice it, and we need to give feedback. So if we have a co-teacher, you can discuss with your co-teacher, check with them whether this is happening, not happening, whether it's actually been successful, not been successful. All right. Start small and build gradually. Start with 2 routines. Start with 3 routines. You've got 6 weeks to build up gradually. Ensure that the ones that you really want them to do first are set and build on that. If we introduce 5 routines or 6 routines or 8 routines at one time, it becomes overwhelming even for teachers, right? As much as it becomes overwhelming for children to understand. Once these 2 or 3 routines are solid, please go ahead and add more. Use consistent language and signals. The same verbal cues, the same hand signals. If we use this thing for time up, all right, a lot of preschool teachers would say, it's time to put the toys away, or you ring a little bell, or you have a chime in classroom. Things like that help the students understand routines better. All right. Display visual supports. If you have icons or if you have pictures, where sometimes I know that the teachers have seen in some schools where you have these little green and this red light and green light and smileys and those little emoticons, those signals that you'll use on the paddle pops. Okay, please go ahead and use them, but please ensure that if your children require that support, it's always great to have visuals. Okay, practice daily and and different times in different spaces. The key here is to stay consistent. I remember an example from one of my workspaces. We were having a lot of discipline issues in the school in general, and we were literally struggling with what happened was, some teachers were a little more focusing on discipline. They would be those teachers would say, no, you got to be disciplined in my class, and this what we used to term, I don't know how many of you have been in convent schools, but you would call them these strict district teachers. These teachers, sisters used to come and shout and yell and scream at us. And then there were some who were really chill, who really didn't bother much, right? And there were some teachers who were agnostic of what's really happening, and they would just turn a blind eye and walk away. every teacher in the school is giving a different signal. And I think, as Pramila shared at the beginning, something is called when you're aligned with the vision and the mission of the school. You need to align with the school policies, which means that every teacher in the school needs to speak the same language. Now, whether the child goes for art, or whether the child goes for drama, or child is in a math class, or child is in a Hindi class, the child is in geography class, child is in a computer class, all the teachers need to speak the same language, right? All the teachers need to understand what this language of the school is. That creates consistency. When everybody practices the same thing, I have seen some really great examples of, some schools use these uh, stepping out of the class tags. I don't know what they're called, those patches when the child wants to use the washroom or when he wants to go somewhere. You have to take that tag and wear it around your neck, and then you're
Exit card.
exit cards, right? Right. And then you take that exit card, and only then you are allowed to leave, right? Now, that consistency is only for the classroom. But what happens when the child goes to an art class? Those exit cards don't exist there. What happens when the child goes for singing class? Exit classes don't exist there. So if we have to really set a routine, we need to ensure these practices are consistent over the school, okay, across the year and throughout the school. So all classes across the year and throughout the school. Okay, these practices are critical. Now, we always reinforce positive behavior. So language is critical. The amount of praise that we use, we need to acknowledge children, right? So we need to use positive behavior language. Address mistakes respectfully. Mistakes happen. All of us make mistakes. Please address them respectfully. Reflect and revise routines, what's working, what's not. Like somebody very critically said, involve your students in making those routines so that when you revise them and when you reflect on them, they will tell you what works for them and what does not work for them. All right? Okay. I'm going to give you a little question to think about. And if you wish to share it, please do. What's one routine you wish you had modeled more clearly last year? It could be any routine that you wish you had modeled more clearly last year. Any morning routine or a meeting routine or an end of the day routine or lining up and transition routines, your bathroom and your water break routines, work time, your noise level routines, noise levels. I see some meters put up in the classroom, zero voice, talking voice, whisper voice, group work voice, something of that sort. What is it that anybody would like to share? A routine that you wish you had modeled more clearly last year for you to set the tone of your classroom? Any thoughts? No one? So I can only understand two things here. One is you guys did a brilliant job with routines last year, or any routine that was successful. Anybody would like to share a routine that was successful? Or we didn't have routines last year and we're going to start them this year. When we are in the corridor, how should we be? Yeah, Chaitra, that's very important in the corridor. So, some schools have a line, right? When the children moving, transition times, they stay to the left of the corridor. And everybody practices that. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, you stay to the left of the corridor. Superb. So when we are in a corridor, very good. Anybody else? Any routine you wish you had implemented last year? No one? All right. So I'm assuming this year you're going to be 2 minutes sit silence and take God's name. Very good, Hetal. So we just, any silence for 2 minutes kind of sets the children to be calm and composed and begin. And it helps the teacher also take a pause. Okay, lovely. Anyone else? You can always begin it this year. Okay, let's move on. This then brings us to the next bit. What really happens, okay, and how do we get the children involved? So what promotes student ownership and community to set the tone for this collaborative year? How do we do it? So why is this a key? Why is student ownership and community a key to set the tone for a collaborative year? Any thoughts? Anybody? No one?
May I?
Yeah,
May
yeah,
I?
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Pamela.
When they have taken responsibility, when they take ownership because
Mm-hmm.
they have helped in drafting the routine, and when they have drafted it themselves, then they take responsibility for doing what they have to do. And the
Correct.
teacher also has to help them in drafting it properly. There is no sense in drafting out 10 routines, which nobody will remember.
Got it.
Ask them, these are the concerns that we have in the class. These are the things that we need to set right. Which ones should we choose?
Right. And
And they're
because of that,
smart.
yeah, and because of that, Pramila, they feel a lot more valued and they feel a lot more respected because they are the ones who are making decisions, right? And when children feel valued and when they feel respected, they always feel safe because there's someone to hear them, there's someone to hear what they're saying, there's someone to hear their thoughts, right? So when you feel valued, when you feel respected, you feel safe, right? And this is nothing but, like I said at the beginning, your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a need for safety, the need for belonging. You feel like you're heard. And when you're heard, your self-esteem increases. You feel like you're wanted there, right? And when you feel that you're wanted there, automatically your self-confidence grows up and you want to be a part of that. And now that you've made a decision, you have to stay by it, right? So
Yeah.
automatically all
I
these,
have one more thing to say.
yeah, Pramila.
Sorry. Um, Bloom's taxonomy follows Maslow.
Hmm.
Maslow comes first.
Yes, I agree. Can't agree more than that. Right. So even so when you see off late your NEP has said that that there should be you need to give importance to your social emotional learning. There has to be a component. You need to do some. Jayeshi, there was something that happened recently where the government of India has made something as a critical part of the school assemblies. I think that was related to SEL. Do you have any idea of what
Positive
that was?
affirmations. NCRT has made positive
Yeah,
affirmations
the positive
as a
affirmations
critical
bit,
part of
right?
it.
So anything that's to do with self-esteem, anything that's to do with emotional safety has a direct impact on attention, memory, motivation. Okay, so if you look at the Castle framework, the CASEL, which is
Social
collaborative for
emotional learning.
academic,
SEL.
social, and emotional learning, that framework, it defines a lot of parameters that you can use, for emotional safety, attention, memory, and motivation. And like we all said that this it somebody in the beginning, I'm not sure who it was in the chat window, very rightly said that this builds relationships. Okay, and relationships are nothing but they are the foundation for a classroom management. Okay, and once your relationships are strong, the children take risks. Children take that academic risk. Children take the sense of ownership increases. The sense of wanting to do something positive goes up because they are more clued into what you now want from them. All right. So quick strategies to foster connection. You can have buddy talks. You can have all about me activities. You can have compliment jars. If somebody has done something for someone, they can always write it in a little note and put it in the jar. And like on every Friday, before the children leave for home, you can pull out all the chits from the jar and read it out, to your children. Or you can do this in the circle time. You use logical consequences instead of punishments. So help the children design those consequences. Like you help them design the rules, you help them design the regulations, help them design consequences. What happens if you do not follow these rules? What will happen if? It could be a loss of a privilege. Maybe the kids are going somewhere, you take away 15 minutes of their time. You give them time away from something. And it's like I said, you need to co-create these consequences with children. Balancing structure with choice to support autonomy. So in your classrooms, rather than forward seating, you can have small group seatings. You can just adjust them. You can involve a lot of more pair work, get them to sit on the floor if there's no space. Try and take your classrooms in open spaces if your classroom is too cramped. Get them, if it's reading time, then there is a structure. They must do this. Let them choose the book of their choice, whether they want to read a magazine or a newspaper for that matter, whether they want to discuss current affairs, whether they want to discuss something new in science, whether they want to look at an encyclopedia, whether they want to do something with space and technology. Help them make choices. All right. That really, really builds bonds. And classroom norms is something, like Pramila said, that we need to get students to design. Right. So generate these rules, reinforce them consistently using daily classroom language, reinforce, remind, and redirect your languages. All right. Okay. I wanted to give this question a thought. How do you currently help students feel ownership in your classroom? Anybody would like to share? There are 63 participants today. Besides Jashi and me and Pramila and Rashmi, we have 59 of them. And Chaitra, we have 58. So how do you currently help students feel ownership in your classroom? Yes, Chaitra, you would like to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Like currently, we are seeing a lot of changes. Initially, we directed the children to keep their belongings to their places. So it has set a good routine. Even if anybody comes in, if any adult comes to our class, no, it should be kept in this way. No, no, no. We have got the instruction from our teacher. We need to place the bags here only, the bottles there, and boxes here. So they have got that routine, and superbly they are doing. And as the teachers, we are really happy because they are too young, and they have done, and they have practiced it, and they're actually showing it to us. So whatever we have taught them, they are implementing it. So as a teacher, we are really happy.
Right. Anybody else would like to share how do students feel ownership in their classroom? Yeah, Rashmi.
Yeah. Yes. So this academic year, so I am a grade two class teacher. So when the students enter the class, so I have given them certain places to place their bags in a certain way, wherein the bag, when it is labeled, the children can see their bag because it's all similar bags which is provided by the school. So they remind each other now. Ma'am has told you, no, that you have to place the bag this way so that your name is seen. Okay, and they have labeled their bottles, and again it is given by the school. They have similar water bottles, so now they remind each other, and I feel very nice to see that. And there's something called as button files which the schools provide. So initially they said my mom forgot to pack it, my dad didn't pack it. So then I said, no, that's a very small job which you can do it. So the next day they come and proudly say, ma'am, I packed my bag yesterday and I have got the button file. I feel very happy when they say that.
Yeah, and actually, somebody, one of the conversation that long back I was having with someone, as teachers, okay, the negative part about our job is we lose voices very fast. At the end of the day, you wouldn't want to have a conversation with anyone. Try sitting in the school bus and disciplining the kids. You don't want to do it. And you go home and you definitely don't want to make a conversation with anyone because you've spoken so much in the day, right? So the more ownership you give your classroom, the more routines you set for your classroom, I promise you that will come down. So you'll have more time with your family, you will have more time with your boyfriends, and you'll have more time with your significant others. Right? Super. So that brings us to the next bit, which is the importance of different stakeholders, and the most critical one being the parent. Okay, so how do we establish meaningful parent teacher partnership to ensure consistent support between the school and home? Sometimes, like Rashmi said, parents forget to send something that's very critical, that's very important. You have told them, but they won't send it. You told them where the ID card, but it will not happen. You've told them, but this is how the exams schedule is, but it will not be done. This is what the homework schedule is, but it will not be done. Right? Or this is the kind of textbooks that the children are supposed to carry, or whatever. How do you build these relationships? How do you make them meaningful? Any thoughts? Anyone? No one? Okay, I'm going to show you a picture. Look at this picture and look at the symbol, and in the chat, tell me what do you think it conveys? What does the symbol convey to you? Look at the colors, look at the symbol, look at the images. What meaning does it convey to you?
Guiding the children is, it's like both the ways. It should be, to put it in better words, it's better we are on the same page. I know it
Okay,
is very difficult. Yeah. Yes.
okay, so the two hands represent
Teamwork. It's a
and
team.
it represent teamwork. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Collaboration.
Okay, collaboration. All right. Anything else? Teamwork,
May
collaboration.
I, ma'am?
Sorry,
Work in tandem.
work in tandem.
Work in
Okay.
tandem.
Mhm. Okay, partnership. Thank you, Charu. Anybody else? Look at the colors. Let's also focus on that.
May I, ma'am?
Parent-teacher bond. Very good, Meena. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Okay, work together. Gurdeep, thank you. Any other thoughts?
Earn the trust of the parents.
Okay, trust. Two-way coordination, both from the child, responsibility of entities to share responsibility of the children. Super. Yeah.
Involve them also, like call
How
them
safely the
over.
Yeah, Swati?
how safely the parents are sending their children to us?
Very good. You can see the safety. There's care in it, right? There is a glow.
Yes, ma'am.
The ball is like a little glow, and you kind of handing it over to another person. So there is a give and there's a take, right? It's a give and take relationship, right? Yeah, you build meaningful partnerships. So that is what the symbol represents, and that's the reason why parents are really, really critical in our existence as school. Okay. Not only, I know very often parents can be really hard as being a part of the leadership. I can completely tell you it is sometimes really hard for parents for us to get across to a parent. But what happens in the first 6 weeks of school when we lay the foundation? We are also talking about laying foundation in the classroom with the children, but what also happens when you lay the foundation with these parents? All right. What is that one word that represents a strong family and a school connection? If you have to, what word would you use to represent a strong family and school connection?
Environment.
Environment, okay. Anybody else? A friendly environment, okay. Thank you, Hajinder. Love.
Feeling
Thank you,
safe.
Meena.
Feeling safe and secure.
Safety. The parents need to feel safe. They need to feel trusted. They need to know that when they are sending the child to school, they know why they are sending the child to school, right? Okay. Very good. Listening years. Brilliant. I would also add one more to this: communication. Okay. Unity, partnership. Lovely. All right. And we all, like we all say, it takes a village to raise a child. All the things that you have been sharing so far, the response, the safety, the unity, the partnership, it's all together. All the teachers, not only the class teacher, not anybody, but the entire school works towards this, right? So, what is it that we can do at the beginning of the year to ensure that we create that village for the parents? Any thoughts? How do we as a school build that bond with parents? Anybody who has done anything in their school to ensure that they have built that bond with the parents?
I think having little orientation sessions with the parents, like a coffee morning with the parents in the
Brilliant,
classroom.
Padma. Brilliant. So, coffee mornings is one way to build these. And what, Padma, can you just tell us what happens in these coffee mornings?
All right. So we do a couple of coffee mornings. So one is for the new parents when the new orientation is happening because they are completely clueless when they come to a new school. So there is a common, just the essential agreements in the school and the routines and stuff like that. And then we bring them to the classroom. And then we introduce all the teachers who are going to be teaching that particular class. where they can access us, the email IDs, and then we also introduce a little bit about us. We also do little sessions of, what they can expect in the class, like, and then some do's and don'ts of what their child should carry to school and what's going to be the schedule like, what uniforms they need to send them in, and, whom to reach out if it is regarding finances or so we basically do all of that. And then we also have like a little game where it's more to do with what can happen in the classroom, like a little snippets of those, and then just having conversations with them so that whatever concerns they have at that point in time, like will my child be able to do this or do that, that kind of stuff. So that's normally what we do. And then when the old parents return, we just have like an interactive session where it is done as a whole primary school. The principal and all of us, it's more like a chatting, just getting to know your parents kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that's one way of doing coffee mornings. Does anybody else? Thank you, Padma. Thank you so much for sharing. That's very important. I know you're traveling, but thank you so much for doing what you did. Anybody else would like to share what they do in coffee mornings? Does anybody else have coffee mornings in their school?
Yes.
Yes.
In our school, in the last academic year, the children became the teachers for that one particular coffee morning session, wherein the parents were, they tasted like how the classroom exactly functions through activities. It is more of activity-based learning, and the children demonstrated it to them. They asked them questions. In the end, they asked them a few questions, wherein it was like more like a reflection of how the parents understood it. So it
Brilliant.
was very interactive session.
Lovely. So thank you, Rashmi. So that's another way of doing a coffee morning. But it's always great to begin with a warm welcome. So parents feel nice when you welcome them nicely. All right. You go to a wedding, you feel nice when you're welcomed well, right? When somebody greets you with a smile, when somebody you feel cared for. Similarly, let the parents also feel that they are cared for, right? They are an equal stakeholder, right? We showed this little symbol with two hands coming like this, right? So start with a warm welcome. And like Padma and Rashmi said, you need to build trust, you need to build communication, you need to connect with the parents.
Apartment,
Send
that
weekly
yellow.
newsletters, send all the fun stuff that's happening in school, all the joys, the achievements, and a whole lot of other things you can send. Um, like Padma said, okay, that there in the coffee mornings you talk about the language that we use, or maybe the first 1 month you've set some routines, with the children. So you call the parents in and you talk about the routines that you have set. So when the child goes back home and is talking about what is it that you've done in the classroom, the parents are aware of the language that they are going to be speaking. So the same language. So you need to update the parents on that language. So you talk about the routines and the positive tones and the language, call them for some literacy and numeracy workshops. Um, uh, Invite parents to get involved in different areas of school. Does anybody do that? Have any schools used parents as a part of their learning journeys? Any school has invited parents to be, for example, a part of some field trip, or have invited them over as storytelling sessions, or maybe a part of the literacy week where some grandparents and parents come in and tell stories or something of that sort. Yeah, you have parents to conduct rhyme sessions. You come get parents to do some storytelling and art and craft. Perfect. I knew of a school that used to invite parents in to be a part of the classroom. They would sit at the back and do exactly the same thing children would do. And that helped some parents understand the routine of how the schools are working. Brilliant. Get them to do some workshops, help them understand how you do language and math, because those are critical. Everybody's saying, yes, but I want to hear you. What is it that you guys do? Please share with the group so that everybody can take away something from the session. Thank you, Parminder. Right? Celebrate. Call them to showcase your children's learning. Call them for cultural events. Call them when children achieve goals. Talk to them about sometimes there are tough parents, right? When they want solutions. So talk to them about what is really going well. Look at how you need to frame these discussions with with the parents, where we talk about how we are actually helping children build skills, rather than getting into any sort of a blame game, because parents are busy. They say we send the children to school. So what is it that really, 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 yeah, see, parents, when you work hard with the parents are really impressed by teaching strategies, because they really don't know how to teach at that. So you really have you are already like there. So show it to the parents rather than them coming back at you, right? Okay, so maintain two-way communications, talk about the school values, talk about, have a value session with them, make them feel like they are wanted in this learning journey. All right, so
May I say something?
yes, please.
Yeah. Now, I resonate with whatever has been discussed, but there is something as a principle which I used to do, which made an impact on the parents.
Yes,
Every day, I would be at the gate to welcome children. And the parents, if they have some grievous concern, I would call them in and I would talk to them. And once every week, parents could come and meet me without an appointment.
Brilliant. That's an open door policy, I think, as leaders, we all need to have.
That helps to build a kind of a trust.
Totally. Parents should not feel like they have to wait forever to get something across to you. If there is a concern, I think as leaders, very good, Pramila. I think as leaders, we ought to do this for our children, if not for anyone else, right? Thank you, Pramila, for sharing this. This is absolutely brilliant. And we are
Thank you.
the tone setters. What we do in school, what we do as educators is what our children will pick up and take outside. All right. So be the tone setters. Every decision that you take in the first 6 weeks of your school become the culture of your school. So the way we walk, the way we carry ourselves, the routines that we set, the expectations that we set with our children set the tone for what is going to come next, right? So somebody also rightly pointed out in the beginning, we need to be prepared. So preparing ourselves for something like this is really, really, really important. Yeah. On that note, I think we have 3 minutes for any Q&A that anybody would like to ask. Is there anybody who would like to share something? Any thoughts across your mind? Anything that you want to ask or anything that you want to say? Anyone? Anyone?
One of the slides, Viveki, that you showed, I'm sorry, somebody wants to say something?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. One of the slides, you had the two hands and that orange ball in between. Now, one thing that came across, I've been trying to keep my mouth shut because this is something I couldn't resist. Love and care with tenderness. That's something that came across. Tender love and care.
Yes.
That
That's
came across
focus
from
on the colors. The colors was
Yeah.
that warmth, that glow, that warmth
Yes.
that we're looking for, which makes us feel a little comfortable and secure when the world outside is blue. It's that holds us in space.
Yes. So we could highlight that.
Yes, totally. And that's what caught my attention when I put this symbol. It was the whole purpose of putting that little ball there was that warmth and glow that we want, and that blue, hands were
Yeah.
something like, don't worry, we will shelter you from everything that is blue. Yeah, super. So please go ahead, set up your 6 weeks of school, and now you know why they're critical. For any habit to happen, you need that time. So invest in your 6 weeks, and I promise you, your year ahead will be brilliant. Invest in setting expectations and routines that are the language that is common to everybody in the school. So all the leaders who are here, I know there are a lot of leadership has joined in today's session. And I think the language that we use as leaders, and then so what is it that our teachers will pick up, and that sets the tone for the culture of our school. So I think as we've got lots to hold, on our heads before we take the step ahead. So get that love language in place, like Pramila said, lots of love and care, and you go there. I promise you, life will be much happier for the school year, and it won't be that stressful. Take your parents in your learning journey. Don't leave them back. Remember the symbol each time you want to leave a parent back, a tough parent you don't want to deal with. The more you get them in, I promise you, the less difficult they will be. We gently want to keep them at an arm's distance, and we really don't know what they're doing on those WhatsApp groups. We really don't know what they're doing in those play dates. We really keep them at arm's distance. We don't know what emails they're sending out to other parents. Get them in. And I promise you, they will never trouble you again. The best way to deal with any difficult parent is to get them in. Hold them with lots of love and care. All right?
Yeah.
On that note,
So just a
Jashi,
small request, if you can all just switch on your videos for a moment, we can take a screenshot.
Sure. It's okay if you're not very well dressed. It doesn't matter. We are teachers at the end of the day.
Palak, I request you to take a screenshot once we have all the videos on.
Yeah.
Yes, Jayashree.
Are we also sharing the feedback link, Jayashree?
Yes.
On the chat
Palak,
window? Super. So I think your certificates, you need to fill in the feedback link for a certificate.
Palak, you can take the screenshot. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Palak will be putting a feedback link on the chat. Please do fill up your feedback. And please see the name that you fill in the feedback form is what is the way you would want in your certificate, because we will be giving you all a certificate of participation. And again, if you don't fill up the feedback form, you may not be able to get the participation certificate, because we will not have you in the data. So please do fill up the feedback form. And also, we would love to know who else would like to facilitate any of our sessions. We've given you an option there. You can write if you want to. You can also tell us what are other topics that are burning topics for you as educators in your schools, so that we can get somebody who's tried those in their school to come and talk to us on that.
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you for joining, and thanks a lot, Viveki. I know you've been extremely busy. I know how busy she's been, and I was a little guilty of telling her to do the session, but then she readily volunteered and she said nothing doing. And then she's just prepared for this overnight, just between, I mean, I knew that. She just prepared last night. She's been so busy.
A delightful session. Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
Pramila.
much.
Yeah, Padma.
And all your energy.
So I welcome you all. Once we launch our school, please come to Pune, and yeah, you can come and have a look at our school.
Oh, definitely. I would love that.
I will, once the school starts, maybe take some time from Jayashree and maybe share some best practices that we have been doing in another webinar.
Yeah.
So, and we do a lot of work, by the way, we do a lot of work from responsive classroom. So whatever responsive classroom is talking about in these books is what we do a lot with parents. We invest in doing sessions for self with parents, the values of the school. So we actually spend a day just talking to the parents about the school values and how their values are aligned to our school values. We get them in for literacy days, we get them in for numeracy days, for some science stuff. So the unit of inquiry gets done, show them, demonstrate, get them involved in the classroom. So we do a lot of these parental sessions throughout the academic year. Even the food that we serve in the canteen, the whole purpose of why the nutritionist. So we get the nutritionist and we do a whole session with them, and we look at our weekly food schedules. And so it's so critical to have them aligned to what you really want them to do, and that actually helps you get through the year a little faster. So don't shy away from your parents, just get them in.
But anyway, responsive, www.responsiveclassrooms.org. I think it's a great website.
Yeah, so please go through it. They have
So
some
many
really
resources in it.
fantastic short sessions
Fantastic
so that you can
absolutely.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have morning meetings. You have so many different themes and ideas for doing morning meetings. It's absolutely fantastic. I think we should all just visit that website and take a lot of ideas
Inspiration from them
for our classrooms. Yeah.
Okay, so lovely to see you all here, and see you soon in some
See you
other.
then. Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining the session, all of you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you,
Keep
Simran,
tuned.
Shreenu,
Stay tuned
Hekaya.
for our other sessions. We have another one next week by Padma on inquiry-based cycle. and Padma is very much here. So those of you who want to join, please do join. Look out for our
Yes, Padma. Way to
posts
go.
on social media. Please do register yourself.
Yep.
Padma's fantastic. She does some really fantastic sessions on
Yeah.
numeracy, right, Padma?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just hoping that this one will also be
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will be.
at par with, it's all finally learning, right?
Yeah.
Learning from one another. I always learn so much from your sessions.
Thank you, Padma.
Great. We all
So
learn.
kind.
This is a platform
We
for
all learn from
learning.
each other. That's why we are a community.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Yes.
All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
I can't see the link, the feedback link.
Oh,
There on the
on the
chat.
chat? Palak, have you put it on the chat?
Yes, she
I
has.
can't see the
Oh, you have
feedback
to scroll
link
it up. It's
on the.
there.
It's there.
Palak,
It's
can you
there.
put this once more, please?
I have sent the
Okay, let me
feedback
just.
form in.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Just a
Palak,
second, I'll send again. Just a second.
please just put it again. So in case there are
No,
participants who haven't seen the link.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, great.
All
Super. Yeah, Palak, just copy and paste it. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Palak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just
Thank you,
check.
Palak, for all the support from the back end, at the back end. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jayashree.
All right. Thank you, Palak. Thank you, Jayashree. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Viveki.
Bye. Bye, everyone.